Jasper produces a confidence interval 0.024, 0.028. What is the value of p hat? Well, that's going to be the center of the interval, and we can see that that is 0.026. That's right in the middle of 0.024 and 0.028. The margin of error is going to be 0.002. And I just got that by doing 0.028, take away my 0.026. What would happen to the margin of error in the following circumstances? First of all, Jasper has a larger sample, with p hat and the confidence level remaining constant. So what we're saying is n is bigger. Now, since the variance is p hat 1 take away p hat divided by n, if n is bigger, the variance is smaller, and therefore it will be less spread out. So, in other words, E would decrease. Another way to look at that is using the formula that we had before, where we had z squared p 1 minus p over e squared. If we think about e squared, that would be z squared p 1 minus p divided by n. If we make n bigger, we're dividing this side by more, and so e would get smaller. Jasper increases the confidence level, p hat and the sample size would remain the same. Well, as we've seen in the past, the value of E would increase in this situation. It would need to increase because if we're, say, 90% confidence we're between here and here, then to be 95% confidence we have to go wider. So as the confidence level goes up, the wider the confidence interval gets. The confidence and sample size remain constant, so they're not going to change this time. And then we look at a situation where p hat is reduced and p hat is closer to 0.5. Well, if we go back to looking at the variance, p hat 1 minus p hat divided by n, this time if p is reduced, remember p hat is 0.026. So if it gets smaller, the top here is going to get smaller from here. Therefore, the standard deviation would decrease. That means that E would decrease because we're changing the top here. We're making it smaller, so overall it gets smaller. If you think about that with the E squared formula, z squared p 1 minus p over n, we're saying that these things are constant and this gets smaller, so E gets smaller. However, if p hat is closer to 0.5, we know that then p 1 minus p gets bigger, so E would increase.